Welcome everyone, citizens of the open source Linux internet. I can't believe after I made already 2 YouTube videos about the state of the Steam Deck, of which I'm live streaming of right now, about the audio and the lack thereof. I made 2 videos, first discussing what a design failure and nonsense it is, the second where I finally got audio to work. Now I have a completely new latest and greatest T2 Linux installation, everything the latest and greatest, and packaged pipewire, and theoretically everything is working kinda perfectly, except Steam Deck audio on Linux. It's like, what the heck? Now, every sane person would have long given up. Of course, every sane person would just use SteamOS and play some games. I make this video, I could just keep it for myself, I could just sit here and teach my 3-year-old how to Unix and stuff, and teach my 3.5-year-old already how to fix advanced Linux sound architecture. But we want to grow a YouTube channel and have some content and entertain you. And we certainly need to fix it anyway. So the details of the Steam Deck, previous videos, basically a totally non-standard configuration that doesn't make really sense. Instead of one stereo deck like you would have on a Sound Blaster or every other device, AMD somehow decided in their mobile designs to have 2 mono decks that need firmware and whatnot, and then the 2 mono decks need to be combined, and Linux ALSA driver wasn't there. So the driver is there, all the user mode configuration stuff is there, but now the bloody firmware. I know all the nonsense, it's everything packaged. Theoretically it should just work, except now the firmware doesn't load. And I only noticed that, you get an error. I was messing around with pipewire graph stuff like, hey, we have no graph stuff here, right? The future is now. So I was messing around there, and it's like there wasn't audio in the ALSA mixer and stuff. Like I was messing around in the stuff like DUI with previous video, gazillion config options, and it's like do what is like what? Oh, cool, firmware. Okay. So now we didn't have the firmware there, which is a tiny optimization of myself. Basically, I scripted our Linux firmware package to only install the firmware that makes sense on the machine, that actually is used by Linux kernel modules. So I copied some firmware manually in there, so I still need to fix that, right? But so now I realize, so even with the firmware in Linux firmware, that I just probably closed because I maybe even have rebooted. Let's see, Linux firmware, I just was somewhere like, yeah, I googled that, and other people index of, no, this is just my, so somewhere, wherever, you get the idea, googled that, that's. Now I realize, so I copied some firmware from Linux firmware in there, right? There obviously there is no multiple, like the future is now, I'm as Cyrus here. I'm in general not agreeing with this nonsense. In my opinion, this is a complete clusterfuck, right? So 2023, last year, is calling, and now for each Hewlett Packard and whatnot, like now you need the bloody digital signal processor firmware for your speaker safety, audio optimization and protection shit. It's like, is that... The problem with it is, as you see, over a year later, the stuff still does not just work, and for each freaking device forward you need more and more obscure, hidden firmware state and configuration stuff, and it's like, what the heck? That is a complete unmaintainable cluster F of a complete nonsense. The problem here is, so basically I will probably not, even I as an expert, having done it already previously in 2 videos, I will probably not get it to work in just some minutes, because I realize maybe there is some other bug, because you might not see that in full, but now you see this. It freaking prints here, I don't know, some kind of arrow thing or whatever, so, or I have no idea where this belongs to, but it's also null, so, yeah, if it's requesting some null firmware and the firmware there has some product and vendor IDs, then it's like, seriously, do we really need to fix each and everyone's Cyrus ALSA and Linus Torvalds beginner 101 programming mistake here, because I mean, surely, probably, I don't have any null firmware here, right? It's like, yeah, it's. Thankfully, I'm such a positive, motivated person that, I mean, everyone else would have sold it on eBay already. I kind of would say I regret buying the Steam Deck. Actually, I thought I'd buy the Steam Deck. It's a Linux first supported device. I thought like affordable, thin client of AMD GPU low power stuff. Every sane person would also now come to the conclusion it was a complete misinvestment. I mean, unless you just want a game. Like if you would bought any other Hewlett Packard, Alienware, Dell, HP or Apple thing, and like nothing would really work for a year. I mean, okay, not nothing, but I mean major things like audio would not work for you. You would also say, you know what, this I don't buy ever again. I mean, obviously it works on Steam Deck, but it's like, yeah, you thought Steam Deck means Linux. It's like Linux first. It's like, yeah, Linux second, and a year or two later, they're still there. Thankfully, we are totally positive people building a YouTube community. So let's do nice things and fix other people's bugs and stuff. Because now the problem is, even I with 25 years experience, not only did I write either drivers, I even built 25 years in our own sound card previous video, which probably live on this channel, and then my precious sound card. Like, you remember my 20-bit high-end decks that probably still, so actually I used it recently, previous video. And I was surprised that, in my opinion, it sounded better than some, than this Quadelix, yeah, but 99 euro. Anyway, so let's be positive, let's fix their bugs and get our audio back, because I have pipe audio now. I have sometimes working audio. So thankfully, that means we have more YouTube we have more work to do. We have more YouTube content, and we can fix more bugs. Just what every IT person, every computer scientist fixing bugs. Thanks. It's amazing. It's a pleasure. You're welcome. The future is now. The win-win is there is a slightly newer version. I mean, so the problem is we need to debug where is it even coming from. So basically, why is it stopped? Was it there? Or maybe it was there. Yeah, I turned it. Maybe this is null. So we need to debug now where this null stuff is coming from, null left and right and whatnot. So basically, this is an hour-long debugging session, right? We need to, due to the sheer complexity, we need to verify wherever we want to start. Either we start top-bottom, so the top-bottom would be whatever you, bottom up or top-bottom. Either start on the kernel drivers and see what the kernel driver is actually doing. I suspect that, I would think that might come from the kernel driver, that it's not printing the vendor product ID in there. Or maybe it comes from the UCM configuration, maybe it's done from user space. Like, I don't know, this is such complex shit that it's like, yeah. Right, one thing I wanted to say, when I said 5 minutes ago, a normal person would in the meantime regret this. The only way I do not regret this is that's basically the worst audio device ever, like with 2 mono decks and firmware loading DSP stuff. Like, that's, if this shit works, then probably most of the other stuff works. So basically it's not a fail, it's a challenge accepted to support the worst audio drive ever. Thanks AMD for this amazing SoC design. This is the worst SoC design award ever. I probably need to come up with a good name of. It's hilarious. It's mind-blowingly bad, in my opinion, and it's also mind-blowingly bad that this does not just work. Like, over a year, how old is the Steam Deck in the meantime? Is it soon approaching 2 years? I lost. And before that it was prototype, right? And AMD is using this design on other, like there are Hewlett Packard and whatnot. There are, by the way, you can, when you're using an AMD Starship Matisia of whatever this was, you can find this in other Hewlett Packard and whatnot laptops, right? Like, it's not like, you brought the Steam Decks. Like, no, on other AMD low profile. I mean, maybe going forward in the future, more stuff has that. I mean, even the SANE Linux people have ARM CPU based speaker safety D, which of course we have packaged in T2, right, for your Apple Silicon. Goodness. So yeah, challenge accepted. Let's make the most obscure, advanced digital signal processing devices work in Linux. Yay! So first win-win, there's an update of Linux ALSA just the other day, ALSA UCM, like maybe source update ALSA UCM files config, what was even the name? UCM conf, it was close. I mean, because it could be everywhere, right? It could be this, it could be something else. Who knows where this stuff is coming from? And the crazy thing is, I had it working on, I mean, I could boot this, or I could even mount that, and like it was working on my old installation, and they broke it. I don't remember though. I don't remember if I previously copied the firmware from the SteamOS, but there are files on Linux firmware. So leave in the comments below how amazed, impressed, and what you think, and give us thumbs up and Patreon and stuff. And maybe we should actually write knowledge base articles, like if you share, like, and subscribe more, maybe I or someone else, maybe we can hire an assistant to write this up in blog posts, because people, why do you make a video? It's like, yeah, but if I do this shit now and then later spend even more hours writing a nice blog article of compiling all the stuff again, it's like, hey, it's doubling the time, right? Like, I make 3 crosses in the calendar. I just someone's made 3 crosses in the calendar. Finally, Steam Deck audio working, and here we are. It's not working anymore. So crazy. Absolutely. Oh, by the way, in the previous video, our T2 so big, our VM for subversion and web stuff was full, because the package was not working in the last live stream. Now it works again. 1 VM resize later. So lib. See, I mean, I could actually, I guess this, I could do it here. The lib, do we have, you also, there's updates of, why does data, what data? You had one job. ALSA, probably all of ALSA, right? ALSA lib 1, what was it? ALSA lib. At least some, not only challenge accepted, making the most obscure stuff to work, but also some other, oh, there's even more update. How could we miss so many updates? Data, what are you doing? Next, I urgently really need to debug data while it's not doing, updating some stuff. But maybe data, sir. Linux audio, not touching it. Anyway, data, or AI of previous videos, right? Audio. Yeah, running Linux distribution, it is a unpaid 80-hour-a-week job, in case you were wondering. Thanks for asking. Let's better grab this from config, default config, packages. Let's update some more. So I guess utils. Usually this is data's job. What's data doing? Slightly wonder that we don't have the latest updates there. I wonder what really happened there. Some stuff is also, I wonder, ALSA probably delete Versi. So lib, OSS probably not updated in a while. Did we plug in UCM config? Yeah, I take a look at the comments in a second. I hope we have audio, at least pipe virus, not disappointing. Emerge. Man, I don't know how I still everything could be perfect by now, and yet we are fighting the most stupid windmills. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's maybe that's why there's so many regressions. No pay, so who cares? I mean, the irony is that AMD, even Cyrus is sending some patches, right? Theoretically, I mean, Steam, I said this before, there's also Steam to criticize, right? Steam and AMD did not have to design it that stupidly. I mean, 2 mono codecs must even be more expensive than 1 stereo codec. I should get the board views and check and schematics if it's really two ICs. I mean, 2 ICs in the design and stuff. Anyway, I mean, in the meantime, stuff is so complex and Linux is somewhat supported that people from Intel, AMD and Cyrus and stuff are sending the stuff, and it's showing now that they work as low quality as in many commercial software environments like Apple and Microsoft, right? And then there may be 2nd, 3rd grade people, or every super amazing person is working for Apple, or like double and triple the pay and whatnot, and some leftovers work at Cyrus. And the problem is also that they outsource this, right? A lot of this outsourced. I was chatting with AMD people about AMD P-State stuff, and it's like people in China or wherever, and this might also not be the most, of course, many good engineers there, but maybe not. I mean, if they outsource it, what I want to say is outsourcing it cheaply, usually wherever, does not necessarily result in the most amazing code quality, right? Yeah. At least some updates. I slightly wonder, do we have more? I mean, I don't really expect that this will just fix it. I wonder if I need to stop, like the problem is, so usually I live stream from the Steam Deck, a thin client, and do all the other stuff on the Ryzen build server and stuff. So this stuff is also, this is why it's built slightly, it's like, yeah, 5 times slower or stuff. Commit package, and then maybe we grab this once more. So now testing this live is a little bit of a challenge. In my other, that's why I usually separate that. So UCM, so OSS are probably not plugins. No. Is this still a thing? Do they still update this stuff, or is it also vintage? Plugins, actually we could run plugins. No, somehow that's not a thing anymore. So this is also, by the way, old, the main firmware, but we still have it. I wanted to delete it, or maybe I deleted it already. I forgot. Hello, the firmware is not there. Oh, because it's there. But then I realized that some vintage firmware like Sound Blaster 16DSP and other Yamaha and whatnot stuff is not in Linux firmware for crazy reasons. So while I had it already deleted or whatnot, I resurrected this and patched it to only install the difference. 124, yeah. Did I something more? What did I do now? Probably not, right. All right, so UCM config. It could be UCM config, but this previously worked, right? Oh, UCM. UCM, by the way, is some new thing that didn't exist the last 20 years of Linux audio. It's some new user mode configuration, whatever. So basically there are some text files defining, like exactly for this kind of complex stuff, like this codec attach and multi-codec and link this to left and this, like link them and join them and use one monocodec for left and one mono. Like if people who designed the Sound Blaster or Amiga 500 see that, they probably would turn in their grave, whatever. So I previously had this imported, so yeah, I had this here, and like a freaking soon year ago. So like, yeah, I imported that, and then it was like, it should be in there, but somehow whatever. I'm speechless. Yeah, the next thing I really urgently need to do is fix our data to really update more stuff, because I have no idea how it missed ALSA. Although maybe it could also be their whatever glitches. Oh, like, you know what, our DOCSIS, Vodafone DOCSIS glitches. Maybe it processed something that didn't go through the failing Vodafone DOCSIS here. So commit packet audio, that probably should be all of this good stuff, right? ALSA, lib and whatnot. It's like, yeah, there we go. The only problem is, let me shortly pause that or take one quick look at the comments. Because I also wonder if I actually need to reboot, because, or at least rmmod that. Because I'm not, probably this driver, some state of this failed now and will not load that or whatever. lsmod grab that here, so don't know if Pipewire is currently using that, but if we, which of them is even rec map SPI, stuff so complex, which is even the core, maybe, I don't know if, there's even so many kernel modules, which do you even, it's used by this, SPI is in use, okay, killing Pipewire. Let me rmmod that. I don't believe that will fix that. We probably have to hunt more, so probably see you in a moment. As I said, challenge accepted. 2024 resolution, everything is amazing, even if it sucks. So at least we have a win-win, the usual win-win of at least some updates. Because obviously Sheen. Okay, this still failed, so I just, yeah, so okay, rmmod is enough, and that, so yeah, that is still a thing. We probably, yeah, maybe the next thing would be to check the Linux kernel driver. Thank you very much, didn't really ask for that. So let's see, there are more comments. Yeah, it makes no sense to debug that. If I would want to debug that, we have already too many live streams here anyway. And given I need audio and pipe wire while live streaming, I would need to set up a second machine and stuff. So Seabase says, MD Intel friends don't invest in Linux. Yeah, they only have 270 or whatever millions in the Linux Foundation, but they finance Linux kernel 2%, and would be too good to be true if drivers work. Imagine with all the nearly 300 million in the meantime the Linux Foundation could do if they would invest more than 2% and in Linux and not in Lottie animation file and water distribution in Africa. Seabase says, no, people at AMD, Intel, NV, they all tell me the same thing. They don't care about Linux. Sorry to hear that. Thanks for... yeah, I mean, they have Linux developers and they certainly do a lot, but I mean, to be fair, the hardware is also cursed, right? I mean, maybe the Linux developers try their best, although I would say that that is pretty borked, that it's trying to match null firmware of shit that was previously working. I would call this lack of engineering discipline, testing, unit testing, continuous integration, and actually ever testing a shit, but I think I don't know as much about software engineering as they do, or so, something like that. Yeah, commercial software developing Linux like it's Windows. That's the result probably of as Linux baby eventually forayed very deep. This sounds like black magic. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this and learned something nonetheless. I'm sorry that I need to bring, I'm sorry to be the messenger of recurrently, yeah, I'm close to the source, right? Leading edge, bleeding edge, yeah, leading edge is bleeding edge. I said this often, I wish I could say here 20, 30 years of Linux, everything is amazing, but we say 30 years of Linux, the 20th audio demon still randomly drops my Intel HD built-in analog audio, and my Steam Deck's DSP firmware is again not loading. So, I mean, I wish it were different, but it is what it is. So, right. Okay, Fader, it's pretty generic. I actually wanted to, what do we have here? This looks so strange. So this is also this one here, SPI whatever. So let's first find where this approximately is. Somewhere off this codecs probably. So that's probably the mono oral codec. So somewhere actually maybe just firmware in all of this stuff. Federate firmware, maybe somewhere of Cyrus. If bad ACPI return 0, legacy firmware powers otherwise fail. Should it be failed to request firmware status? Oops. Do we fail to request firmware? No, Cyrus. Fail to, oh wait, this is fail to read. Request. Failed request. Firmware, for God's sake. How can there be so much failing stuff in here? Yeah, I mean, where would the speaker Kali? Here's speaker Kali, firmware speaker Kali. Here's something in, why is this in Wolfson RDSP, okay. It's like here, from those people, right? Open source Wolfson micro, probably used them from smartphones or where not. Speaker. Yeah, this is basically the firmware stuff that I've seen there. It's a previous video. Speaker Kali of. So here is. Okay, this is somewhere. So somewhere concatenated from statics. Const here from that one. So yeah, that is of course now like finding where the freaking heck ADSP buffer capture blocks calculate read request firmware file system name ASO component prefix. So I guess here. So yeah, I guess here, so is lowercase and not any alphanumeric characters except full stop and forward slashes are replaced with hyphens. So that is here, so that is coming from KAS printf. So that is direction, port, firmware name, this firmware file, so this is system name. So system name is null, I guess. Thanks for that. System name is, oh, it's in there. Cool. Yeah, so tiny little null pointer like you would do in a single address space kernel. The problem, I use even Cyrus dir. So yeah, here it's requesting this from Cyrus dir, so that is Cyrus. But this is also strange. Why is this Cyrus slash? This is also strange. It's somewhat completely freaking borked. You know what we should actually do? It's like, also, how can code be so broken, right? This is 4 years in the Linux kernel, and it should work and not be that fucked up. But let's get the Git history of this cursed thing. So this is kernel stuff of fear sound. what was it, codecs, sound, SOC, codec, SOC, like it's a smartphone, codecs of Wolfenson ADSP, where even is this question? No, ADSP, VM, ADSP. Let's git history and blame. What did they recently touch in this shit? Memleak, merge up fixes, also like merge up fixes, I think. Like basically we could also blame that. Does there git convert, fix missing, DSP, read write, locking, powering up DSP without trying, support powering up? Do load firmware, so this is somehow delayed. Why do they do that? Add a flag that indicates whether it should attempt to find and load firmware. This is to support DSPs that have built-in firmware that may already have been patched, for example, by the BIOS. Okay, wonderful. Would also cool if Valve could load the bloody fucking firmware from the stupid BIOS. Do you have support for loading bin files without, do you have here in time pouring down? The thing is, it could be the caller. New component control notifier helper. It's like, yeah, it's only constants change and regressions convert more. What do you have here? Right control. Like here, the favorite Linux kernel refactoring to constantly break stuff. Whether it's old-fashioned SCSI controllers, SANE Ultra Spark, fiber channel, like, or Steam Deck Valve stuff. Like, let's. The biggest hobby is breaking stuff. Support. This is the same as when DSP can self boot from ROM. Optional return now. So maybe it's not this file. Expose DSP boot, support loading bin files without optional coefficient firmware. It's a component. Actually, here is null. Request firmware. What is it? Not coefficient firmware. Here's even. The problem with this stuff is always that you don't have the call trace here, right? So it's like, no, where's it even? How do they even log this? Do you still have that? This fails. Here's even if system name. So here they have even firmware optional. Here's even if system name. Otherwise, they even if explicitly call it here with null. Yeah, what occurs? Okay, so this is part. Okay, they lock it here so stupidly. Why the freaking heck do they lock it with this confusing shit? Like, why would you lock it so stupidly that a normal being cannot parse this? So like what the heck? How should I know what precise file it even requested now? Why do they put it in stuff like that that looks like? So they request that with left, right? Without a system name, apparently, I would guess. It's depressingly speechless. And this is also why I would want to experiment with completely different code, because I don't like this code structure. Because the problem with this hard code structure, this is why I want a multi-server, multi-kernel, microserver, microkernel, where all the stuff is in user space anyway. And somehow we should also program differently, right? This is also why I would probably not do that in this, because this is so statically coded, and the problem is now you need to attach a debugger or stuff, or like now I need to rebuild all this stuff and so on, like to even find out what the heck is going on here. I could mount, do I have enough, so what cable do I have here? It's like it's basically, that's how it is, right? Yeah, I don't have another USB-C port here, I guess, unless I could plug it into my build server. So my build server has a. Yeah, leave me in the comments below. To summarize that, it is a really low quality engineering, not tested, not nothing. And is it this one? And I would say software engineering, software architecture should be vastly different. This old-fashioned, I mean, this is really old-fashioned, like we programmed in the 80s. Even for programmers, as I said, now you need to, instead of dynamically being able to change, poke them more directly and easily and stuff. Of course, driver engineering is always the worst and most complicated, but leave in the comments below. So, partition name, what did I have here? That should be 900 something gigabyte. It should be probably SDA4 of test is not a valid. Was it not full disk encrypted? What do I have there? Is this not this one? This is 1 gigs. It should be my older node. What do I have here? 20 gigs Apple for some reason. Grub, did I? Not a valid loop device. Okay, anyway, I check this. Not really sure what is going on there. Is this not this one? Yeah, this is this one. Okay. Anyway, I do this post screen. So basically, this will be more detective work that is pointless to live stream. You have the basics. I'm increasingly left speechless. I do not. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense how broken it is. It makes no sense how it's programmed. I hope you enjoyed to learn something. Go out to nice things. I hope to see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe. Maybe leave a Patreon or super thanks or whatnot. What more should I say? I don't know. Tell me. Leave a comment below. Cheers and out and stuff. I'm confused. I'm speechless. And I'm not often speechless.